While Islamic terrorists are planning their next attacks, France has declared war, Russia is pounding ISIS targets, Britain is about to join in, and President Obama, well, he spent the morning recounting romantic memories he made in Paris.
Oh, my God.
By my bed in the residence is a picture of me and Michelle in Luxembourg Gardens, kissing. Those are the memories we have of Paris. As early on, I had no gray hair. So when tragedy struck that evening, our hearts broke too.
And at the White House news conference, alongside the leader of France today, President Obama really stuck it to the terrorists by reminding them he'll be attending a weather summit soon.
Next week, I will be joining President Hollande and world leaders in Paris for the Global Climate Conference. What a powerful rebuke to the terrorists it will be when the world stands as one and shows that we will not be deterred from building a better future for our children.
I can't. Probably.
KG,
wow.
memories and climate summits.
Yeah, this is really disturbing, and I'm trying to think if I can speed down my doctor for a giant dose of antibiotics to cure me from the ills that the president is making me feel right now. I don't understand. Why would he even bring it up? Like, enough. We got it. We got the memo. We signed for the package. We know you love the weather. Stop. I mean, can you imagine? Poor president, like, Hollande is in there going, hey, come on, can we get some action here? Can we get some focus? And he's like, well, I remember my romantic times in Paris. And wow, we're going to stick it to the terrorists when we start talking about climate change.
And Dana, first of all, during that soundbite, we were all like, really? But President Obama came out and
Except
said,
for Juan, who was wondering what's happening at this table.
He says, he says, I'm about to talk extensively on terror. And then he goes into these things. Your thoughts?
Well, remember last week he got some criticism because when he was at the G20 summit, he launched into talking about the G20 summit and not talking about the terrorist attacks first. And we said, maybe just at least signal that you're going to talk about the terrorist attacks, and then you can talk about whatever you want. This is one thing that I was curious about, is that if you know that you have one way to win the day today in the headlines, do you want to win it, or do you want to take a pass? And to me, I think the president took a pass today.
Jesse, the world is on fire. People are dying. And honestly, did he outline an aggressive strategy or a strategy at all?
That was not a military strategy. That was a PR strategy.
That was a lateral.
And I never thought I'd see America surrendering and France leading the charge. I mean, the president's talking about kissing Michelle in Paris. What is that, soft power? I don't know what you'd call that. And then he's saying we need to fight terror by using a poem on the Statue of Liberty. Okay, I don't even know what that means. And then he's going on and saying the biggest rebuke to terrorism is to talk about the weather. Now, I just don't know if Muhammad cares about the weather. It's hot enough in the desert. I don't even think that matters. And I don't think Americans care if we rebuke the terrorists. I think we should be nuking the terrorists. But this is why people don't trust the president. It's not just this. He gave a warning before he dropped bombs on ISIS. He dropped leaflets saying, we're going to bomb you. And then he goes into the Iranian nuclear facility, we're going to give you a 24-day notice. And then he's whispering to the Russian president, I need a little more flexibility. Now, people wonder where this guy's allegiances are. This is why people wonder about where the president stands.
You always take it one step too far.
So Juan,
it was so good.
So the sense of urgency. A lot of people have a problem with President Obama. He has no sense of urgency. He doesn't. We know about the JV quote. And Paris was a setback and contained. Where was the urgency? I didn't see it yet today. Didn't see it. Good opportunity to change his tune a little bit.
Given the polls,
from what? He is working with the French president to try to put together. Hollande is trying to put together an international coalition to go and deal with ISIS in a way that's effective and long-lasting, and will allow us all to have a sense of completion, that we really are taking the fight to ISIS. Now, what Hollande said...
The 65 nations that are a part of the coalition, that's not enough?
No. So what we have, I mean, contrary, the news today, I think, doesn't get discussed here, but I mean, the news today is Hollande says he wants the United States intelligence sharing. We are already giving them intelligence. We have been giving them intelligence so they can pick out appropriate targets when they're bombing ISIS. Hollande is going to meet with Putin. Obama is saying we can live with Putin, but we are not going to live with Assad. Assad has to either agree not to run again or get out, but you can't allow Russia somehow, now having had their jet shot down by the Turkish country, to somehow get involved in dictating the terms of the relationship for the coalition.
But Putin is absolutely leading the terms. And France, when the president started talking about his memories, I thought he would talk about liberty or fraternity. Instead, he was talking about kissing Michelle Obama, which I guess is a perfectly fine thing and a nice little memory, a trip down memory lane. But I think he had the opportunity today to say America is still the leader of the free world. And instead, I feel like we're saying, yeah, knock yourselves out. We're cheering you on from the sidelines, and I think that's what's giving a lot of Americans
come on.
anxiety.
How are we cheering from the sidelines? This is
because it's 16 months into the fight, and now France has to try to develop a coalition to take the fight to the end.
The British are now, Cameron is now saying, oh, I'm going to join in. The French are now joining in. The Russians joined in, I think, in September, if I'm not right.
They're all changing their strategy, but our strategy is perfect.
Let me get this straight. They're not even up to where we were in 2014 when we started bombing.
We're not bombing, Juan. 75% of the stories, we don't even drop any bombs.
Hang on, gentlemen. Let me just finish.
We're paper-cutting ISIS with
leafless. We have special ops on the ground. These guys have yet to put anybody on the ground.
No. But the problem is the president is reminiscing. Okay, we get it. Who hasn't had a honeymoon or two in Paris? I mean, come on. You want me to? I can take the rest of the hour talking about the couple I had.
All right. But again, Juan, you talked about when the Russians got in, they got in with both feet in, all in. They went all in. So did the French. They just went in. They sent air.
But we've been doing this. Why do you always say America's not doing enough? America took the lead.
Let's take a listen to this guy. When it comes to defeating ISIS, many believe we must put troops on the ground in Syria to succeed, but General Petraeus isn't among them. He warns against that idea. Listen.
I would not at this point. And I think if we're required there to clear and hold an area, it's not sustainable. Again, you need to have a hold force that has legitimacy in the eyes of the people. That has to be Sunni Arab forces in Iraq.
It cannot be American forces.
It should not be, not at this stage.
So what do you think, Dana? Troops on the ground, just not American troops?
Yeah. I just think that that's just too black and white a way to think about it. And what he's saying is that, no, like right now, that doesn't make sense. I do think 16 months into this fight, when we are not doing like what is it, 15 bombings a day compared to like the 1,500 by Russia in 2 days. We're now talking about a different strategy. So 16 months ago, you would have talked about doing it one way. Now, given the mess that we're in, I think General Petraeus is saying, like, we don't have the ability on the ground now to actually do what we need to do. So I don't think that he's saying that the strategy right now is perfect, but he is saying that trying to do what we were going to do 16 months ago won't work now because of all the developments.
What Petraeus is saying is that Obama's strategy is on target. We shouldn't be putting U.S. troops on the ground. It should be an Arab force. It should be a Sunni force, unless you can somehow get the Sunnis to play a leading role, and that means getting rid of Bashar al-Assad.
Well, so the Democrats were against Petraeus when he led a successful surge strategy in Iraq. Everyone was cheering against him. Now, all of a sudden, Petraeus agrees with the president, and this guy's a genius.
I think Petraeus is respected by both sides.
I actually think Petraeus is one of the developers of the Obama strategy. If I'm not mistaken, he was involved in developing President Obama's strategy. So, of course, he's going to agree with it. KG, your thoughts on
that's not true.
Petraeus is, boots on the ground, just not American.
Okay, well, no, I mean, I think you do need to have boots on the ground. You can't rule that out as an option. And in fact, any kind of, I think, effective strategy that will deliver the results that we need is going to have a combination. You can't defeat ISIS by air alone. You must have some kind of ground forces, troops. Yes, you have to have advisors, and you have to have it in a way that is going to be responsible to respect the lives of the American soldiers, perhaps in like a Kurdish-controlled areas, et cetera, to set up a battalion or something to that nature. But it has to be evolving. You can't right away rule out options, because war is not like that. Battle is not like that. It is constantly in flux. There are changes, and you must be able to pivot and make adjustments. And in order to do that, if there's an escalation of what's going on, you have to have some forces in place to be able to handle it.
Which is also why you don't telegraph your date of withdrawal.
Correct.
Because that's exactly what happened. And the key thing here is what you guys have been talking about, which is Assad. So Obama says, no, our position is that Assad must go, yet we're not doing much about it. Russia's position is Assad must stay, and we're going to do something about it to make it happen. And we're going to be able to talk to Jen Griffin about that in a minute, but
But
Assad is the
that
key.
is huge, though. I mean,
That comes down to that.
role in this and whether or not Assad stays or goes. How do you win this when we say Assad must go, Russians say he must stay, and ISIS is now, I'm sorry, Russia's flying 2,000 sorties over Syria and Turkey?
Yeah, well, Obama put himself in the box by saying if you cross the red line, we're going to enforce it. And now, all of a sudden, our policy is we have to get Assad out. But I don't trust Turkey. Turkey wants Assad out. They're against the Kurds. They're kind of encouraging ISIS across the border. So I don't trust them. And now, we'll see what happens. You know, they shoot down a Russian pilot. And all of a sudden, is NATO going to get triggered, or it's like another World War I situation?
Jesse's right, because they're going to hide behind that Article 5. They're going to say, okay, and they hide behind the protection of NATO. I mean, now you've got, you know, basically Erdogan, this is, guys, I think he's kind of like a megalomaniac. Well, he wants Turkey to be the biggest player in the Middle East and the region. He's going to hide behind the NATO alliance and the U.S. and creating this stuff. He's just stirring the pot, and Obama's running out the clock.
The Turks actually,
this is the problem.
They were smart. Militarily, they were smart. They knew they could take that plane down, and there was going to be no retribution because you can't go after the NATO alliance in Turkey. So it was what's called a clean kill.
No, but you got NATO. So NATO's had an emergency meeting today because of what happened. But it's not clean. You know, there's a problem with the border, as we've been talking about, the Turkish border. Hollande, in fact, was focusing on that at the White House today. He wants that sealed.
Closed,
The second thing you have to talk about is the relationship to the Kurds. Jesse's over there saying, oh, yeah, just bomb. It's like Trump. Bomb, bomb, bomb. But no, no, no.
Look at how happy.
You know what we got here? We got a situation where if the United States supports the Kurds, and by the way, Admiral Bolton was in the New York Times today saying we should have a separate country for, you know, for some part of the Muslim world, so you can separate out all these sectarian differences. But the Kurds are a problem, of course, for the Iraqis. The Iraqis don't want them separate.
Like
Sorry for wanting to bomb our enemy, Juan. I didn't know that was bad strategy.
Again, this is what Petraeus is saying. We need a sustainable strategy that can work and stop this.
In the meantime, ISIS has been able to plot and plan from a safe haven.
And you know who,
and you get Paris.
You know who doesn't want that border secured?
And you get more.
The Turks.
They
want it. They want that free oil, that cheap oil coming right across the border.
All the money.
All right, you're going to have to leave it right there.